Welcome back, everyone, for another installment of Kite Reads Analysis. Today we're covering a relatively short story, again by H.P. Lovecraft, The Beast in the Cave. As usual, if you didn't listen to my reading, I'll summarize the plot here quickly. A young man on a tour through a cave system breaks off from the rest of the group to explore on his own, but becomes lost after about an hour of wandering. His flashlight dies, leaving him in complete darkness, and he ponders with tranquility what he sees as his inevitable and self-imposed death. Still not entirely without hope, he calls for the guide in the hope that maybe he didn't wander as far as he thought, and gets hyped when he hears something approaching. However, he starts getting scared as he realizes the footfalls are stealthy, cat-like, and whatever was making them had 4 feet. Despite preferring a quick death via violence to a slow starvation, he tries to stay quiet, but realizing that it's got his scent, he picks up a rock. Guided by its labored breathing and irregular footfalls, he throws the rock, just missing, but distracting it, and then throws another, supposedly clobbering it in the head, wounding it badly. Despite a curiosity to examine the unseen creature, he runs in the opposite direction and soon hears boots approaching, and the light of his guide's flashlight. He blathers out his story and brings the guide to the face-down creature, a large ape with thin white fur and long claws. It spasms, moans, and rolls over, with its face and sounds revealing that it was in fact some kind of degenerated man. Now let's get this bit out of the way. Lovecraft wrote this when he was 14. Yeah, 14. So this story is classified as juvenilia. He wrote it in 1905, and even then his skills were quite evident. His wordplay was excellent and diverse for such an early work, and evidence of some of his later themes pops up. A primary one we'll see is the theme of degeneration in humans. Even at this tender age, his disgust towards those he saw as dumber, lesser, poorly bred or what have you was evident. His self-superiority and obvious racism were likely established within him at a young age, and while it's not incredibly obvious in this story, later ones, like facts concerning the late Arthur Jermyn and his family, will recall this one, but take it in a much more fearful direction, more rooted in the fear of mixed blood and a heritage you can't escape. He had non-racist reasons for being afraid of this too, but he was also a total racist, no getting by that. For now, though, you can see the roots of his fear towards the corruption of the human form and the fear of degenerating into something lesser. Another rather strong point in the story is its atmosphere. As we've discussed before, Lovecraft was a master of forming a forbidding, oppressive atmosphere, and this story is no exception, showing a strong sense of isolation and oppression in its early paragraphs. It takes care to describe, for the most part, sounds and sensations, and not a lot of description of the cave itself. It could be argued that a cave's a cave, not much to say, but it seems more likely that he wanted to leave the reader blind. By not dwelling too much on the picture of the surroundings, when the lights go out near the beginning, we aren't trying too hard to picture the scene, because there is nothing to picture. What we as readers are left with is descriptions of what the protagonist feels and hears, much more direct and personal and intimate links than just his sight, drawing you further into the story, making you feel like you're truly the young man lost in Mammoth Cave. Speaking of, let's dive into the background and setting of this story a bit. Mammoth Cave, if you're not aware, is an actual place in Kentucky. It's the longest known cave system in the world, and is now a national park, though it wasn't back when this story was written. It's remarkably stable and well preserved, and people have been using it for shelter and whatnot for thousands of years. Most of it was still unmapped when it was opened first to tourists, and more of it is still being discovered. So back then especially, it would have inspired a lot of imagination of what could be lurking in the depths of the cave, which of course Lovecraft took in the direction that followed his fear of degeneration. Of course, as far as I know, the scariest thing in there is the albino Kentucky cave shrimp. Not one of those words feels like it should be associated with any of the others. Seriously, look at this thing. I mean, it's endangered, which sucks, but ugh. Well, that didn't take too long, did it? I think that pretty much covers the basics for the story, plus some factoids on a cave to fill time, for interest's sake. This story certainly shows its age in Lovecraft's repertoire, and though it was an interesting and valiant attempt to start up a mystery and get the reader into the character's shoes, it does come across as a bit clumsy in parts. However, those shortcomings are very minor in a good short story, especially when you consider that he was 14 when he wrote it. When I was 14, I still had super long hair and thought that Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were going to be good. Oh, did I go there? Leave in the comments what you were doing when you were 14. Were you wasting your youth? Writing stories of your own? Are you currently 14? Tell me, and please like, subscribe, and look out for more. And please, don't wander into caves. The albino cave shrimp will get you. Yeah. Cow.